Devo, of course, was ahead of the time. I go, what do you mean? And he goes, you can have the French fry, but you can't have the donut, the French fry, and the girl.
Listen up, Spuds. Welcome to Devolutionary Times. Devolutionary Times. Devolutionary Times. Devolutionary Times.
De-evolution, self-execution, no solution. I'm a potato. I got eyes all around.
We need eyes all around as this world falls apart faster and faster. We have to see what's coming and going and what's sneaking up on us from behind. De-evolutionary Times. It's not too late to whip it good.
Good. I like to shoot 'em all.
Hello, Spuds. This is Jerry Casale. This is Bob Mothersbaugh. This is Mark Mothersbaugh. And we're here with episode 6 of Devolutionary Times. Oh no, it's Devo album cycle and tour. Let's get into it. We were focused on this idea about integrating what people would see on MTV with what they would see when they came to see us. That's what excited us, to move beyond this kind of thing that had become a cliche with MTV where, oh, there's band performance, then it's cut with some kind of interstitial B-roll where there's a girl that's mad and she's breaking a vase, and
the band really seemed to have little input on to what the aesthetic was for any of it. And for us, it was totally opposite of what we were anticipating back in the mid-'70s when we were in Ohio. We thought MTV was going to be very artistic, and instead it turned out just to be kind of a lowest common denominator way for record companies to shill their products. We saw people copying us and thought, what could be different? That's where we hit on the idea of doing these films live so that we were part of them on stage.
What was this machine that did this? It was really crude.
Yeah, it was like a
Stroboscope.
The stroboscope
yeah.
and the sequencer lines driving the action of the stroboscope. And then that becomes an element to put behind us when we're playing. I especially like it when Bob's playing the guitar because he played his guitar line and made the stroboscope ghost his guitar line. It's in sync with him in the video, and live people went nuts.
The guitar is one of the things that held Devo together and kept it so we still belonged on a stage out there, I think.
Took them this long to figure that out. But
Well, this is where, we've fully embraced green screen, the elements that are appearing behind us, potpourri of techniques, live action film to full on animation, early CGI. We were involved with digital productions. That was John Whitney Jr.'s company. It was the only game in town in LA. He had a company on Jefferson Boulevard with a Cray computer from Australia. And it was, it required its own room and its own refrigeration system because that's how crude things were then. It was as big as this area that we're sitting in.
It was very big. It was, it looked like you were in a locker room or something. I think at the Pentagon was the only other computer like that in the US at the time.
He made us sign a non-disclosure agreement. We worked for months on just segments that were like 10 seconds long.
Like a wire frame of a Devo energy dome slowly rotating in the air and then coming forward on the film. It took them like a couple weeks to make that.
And then that would have to be translated to full volumetric raster 3D graphics. So you see the hat rolling over the landscape, and the landscape is pure CGI, early stuff, right? All like cubes.
Yeah.
Three-dimensional cubes moving in space, and it rolls up and it delivers Mark, right?
Kids that are just finding out about animation through AI, they would have no idea how incredibly long and tedious it was to make the tiniest little thing back then. But you can do on your phone now.
The videos behind us were cut to that click track. They were all in sync with us.
It went beyond just a synthesizer sequencer track like what you could do later with MIDI. We were kind of ahead of that, and it wasn't for years later till you could put voices easily on backing tracks. So we used a very complicated, but it worked perfect as long as Alan made sure to start on the one.
This is several layers of composites. You have wax potato replicas spinning on monofilament line against blue screen.
Right. We tried to find potatoes that large that we could fit in them, but
Then you have us with the floating heads and collars then composited into the top of the potatoes, so we're people with potato bodies.
Yeah.
And then that whole element is then superimposed over this computer-generated backdrop.
The collars made it look like a head and a collar were floating on stage. So it looked like there were 5 of those in a row.
And the other thing it did is it provided separation when you're shooting a band on green screen and you're going to have to composite that band. Those white collars provided the separation we needed so there wasn't bleed when you tried to make composites, because they were very hard then. That's why you see all that video noise, all the dirty edges on composites back in the 80s, because they couldn't do any of that.
That's as good as you could get. Everybody came to check it out. It's like there were all sorts of people that were doing these soft sync things with images on the screens, like Laurie Anderson and David Bowie and of course Michael Jackson. And they all came to see it because they couldn't believe it when they saw that I didn't even have to turn backwards, but during out of sync I could just point my finger like I had a laser gun and I could shoot someone who was a robot that was dancing incorrectly, and it would explode.
Right.
And it would all happen perfectly in time with the music.
Well, we would try this out in many, many cities. I think we've probably covered 35 American cities with that tour. I think we also eventually took it out of the country, which then was really expensive. See, no one made money touring. And Devo lost money touring because we were putting on a theatrical show and we were doing things like, synced treadmills and rear projection film and costume changes. It was expensive at a time when you only made money from record sales. Now it's inverted where nobody makes money from record sales. You make money from touring and merchandise. Well, Devo, of course, was ahead of the time. Record companies weren't giving you much support for touring. They would give you a little.
Yeah, we weren't so much in the hole, though, because we had decided from the very beginning when we got our first checks, we said, well, rather than take all the money and blow it right away, everybody split it up and blow it, we paid ourselves the same amount of money that LA school teachers were making.
$50 a week.
Well, it was a little more than that, but it was
Felt like.
It was $3,000 a month.
something like that, yeah.
On purpose. We were artists. We weren't guys in a band that really thought videos were weird and just did whatever the record company told you to do. Like, okay, we got this hot director and here's what you're going to do. Where they wanted nothing to do with it.
That was 95% of the videos that are made are made by people that are not members of the band. There's maybe a little bit of collaboration. And
our contemporaries were mostly artists who thought videos were stupid. In fact, they were anti-video. They were afraid of them. Wanted nothing to do with it.
Everybody, it's a good thing. Everybody wants a good thing.
Well, we were showing instances of success with that's good, and then when things aren't good. And so when the French fry goes through the donut, that's like hitting a bullseye with a dart. That's a win. But when the French fry breaks and doesn't make it through the donut, that's not good.
Yeah.
And
she's disappointed.
She's
too.
very
You can tell.
disappointed.
She's keeping tabs on things.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of an innuendo in there.
What do you mean?
Yes, so much of an innuendo that MTV wouldn't show it.
It's true. Because of the French fry and the donut. But it wasn't just the French fry and the donut. It was her reacting positively afterwards.
Yep. Yeah, the video commissioner called me up and he goes, listen, we know what you're doing here, Casali. I go, what do you mean? And he goes, listen, you can have the French fry or you can have the donut, but you can't have the donut, the French fry, and the girl. And so
That was too much.
we were really offended, right? Because there were videos with no sense of humor on at that point where, Billy Idol is slapping some girl's ass in black spandex pants. Rod Stewart is a girl's sliding up between his legs and hugging his thigh, and he's like, ooh. And it's like, they're not kidding, right? There's no conceptual.
The donut really got him, yeah.
Got him.
Or at least it just gave them a chance to
Made him think.
to censor us. It gave them a chance to do it.
So it took maybe, our first response was, screw that. That video's done. That was a dumb response. And so Elliot Roberts, our manager, said, listen, don't be stupid. Just take something out of it and get it on the air. So we did. And then their bureaucratic process made it wait another week till their Monday morning meeting. And then in their Monday morning meeting, they consult the top 40 charts. And That's Good had fallen 3 places. So they go, sorry, guys. Even though the video is acceptable, we're not programming it.
Yeah. So if you've never tried pink icing donuts with a French fry, don't do it. It's better just to know it than to do it.
But then we did get Peekaboo on MTV. All right, everybody. Fan questions about Time Out for Fun, That's Good, and Peekaboo. So we're going to start with a question about Time Out for Fun from Fraser Turner. He says, I like how the start of Time Out for Fun video feels like you bought a new instructional tape and aren't really sure what it means, but you want to watch it anyway. What was this intentional? Well, with Devo, I can tell you almost everything was really intentional. That intro monologue was written to kind of parody instructional, videos films that you would see in the 60s. We were really obsessed with that kind of stuff. Quack religious stuff, Atomic Energy Commission, Wonderful World of Disney, where animated characters would deliver a monologue to the audience, telling them about nuclear particles. Cohen Faceto
Cheeto asked, the video for Time Out for Fun had the home taping as Killing Music logo flashing at one point. Did anyone at Warner complain about your usage of the symbol?
No.
No, they didn't care. They may not have even watched the video as far as I could tell. So,
Well, they might have thought that we were on their side.
yeah, that's probably it.
Okay, here he goes.
Bob, you got Martin?
He's only got
Martin.
one name, Martin.
You know which Martin we're talking about.
Oh.
It looked like you all had a fun time making the video for Time Out for Fun. Are there any memories from filming this video that you would like to share? We did have fun, but I have no memories of it.
Is this where you get your ear pulled? That's not Time Out for Fun, is it?
Is it? Oh, no, that's Bob Casali gets his ear pulled.
Oh, Bob Casali gets his ear pulled by the happy girl with the tongs.
No, I think I did.
So
yeah.
you got
I
your
made the
ear
ridiculous face.
Yeah,
I have no memory of that, though.
Bob's being ridden.
pulled? Bob, yeah,
He's,
Bob Casali.
Bob, too.
yeah, he's got a horse bit in his mouth
Mhm.
and a clown nose.
He went around the studio many times to get that shot.
We were obviously following that kind of directive of being evil clowns in all of these videos. There was a continuity between all of these videos, and the images are sometimes grotesque, sometimes shocking, sometimes funny, or all three, on purpose, silly, but it worked. I mean, because they're very strong, almost like pop art images. Here's a question about That's Good from Steve Morrissey. What was the inspiration behind the video for That's Good? Well, the same inspiration as for Peekaboo and Time Out for Fun. We're dealing with this kind of semi-scary, semi-disconcerting world where things aren't quite right. we're evil clowns. We're having fun, but there's an aggression and darkness to it, and it's really about entertainment. So That's Good was a song about how people are trying to constantly in a capitalist society be happy by getting things, and we're making a comment on
Capitalism.
the idea of trying to be happy through materialism and how that doesn't always work out. That donut. Everybody likes a donut.
Neil D.
Neil D.
Neil Diamond, maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know, asked, how many takes did it take you to finish the video for That's Good? Too many.
Right, I think 11. Again, because of what we were doing, we had to have a good take beginning to end without mistakes.
Yep.
And I really remember 11.
That's the number I'm thinking too.
All right, here we go. Mickey. I like how it's just one. Hey, Mickey.
Mickey wants to know, did you pick the outfits for That's Good video yourselves, or was it someone else? Come
Our mom,
on.
our mom.
Come on,
My
Mickey.
parents always dressed us, yeah, for every album cover and every video.
That's right.
No, of
She
course
said,
we
"You
did that.
kids, the way you talk, you should have your mouths washed out with soap. So I'm going to give you a toilet bowl to wear around your neck."
Yeah, exactly. No, it's like if we could have had a clothing store, we would have, but we weren't really quite famous enough for that.
And that kind of thing wasn't happening then.
Yeah.
I mean, because we were doing things that hadn't been done. Nobody was talking about branding then. I mean, my God, we deserve a brand like Yeezy has. We could have easily done it. It had been possible back then. We would have been in Supreme if it had existed, but we were kind of like, blown in the wind. It was, nobody understood what we were trying to do. So yes, we did pick the outfits, to be serious for a second.
We had a representative, Spaz Attack, kind of had the look of an evil clown
Totally.
way back in the early days.
And he appears in Peekaboo
Yeah.
as an evil clown. In fact, he danced on stage with us live as an evil clown. He even did that at, you always used to call it Nazi Bear Farm.
Oh yeah, Knott's Berry Farm.
Knott's Berry Farm. Knott's Berry Farm. And we performed with Jermaine Jackson, and Spaz Attack appeared in the haunted house on
Yeah.
stage and
It
jumped
looked
through the
pretty
window.
good. Looked pretty good.
Yeah. So here's questions about Peekaboo. This one's from Andrew Marshall. Talk us through the characters in Peekaboo and if there is any story. And he cites
Oh, he says-
Spaz Attack and the pirate. Although, yes, we have kind of addressed this. The characters, again, represent this kind of world we were trying to portray that's kind of a little bit frightening, a little bit disconcerting, something that would excite a 5-year-old.
Zach King asked, why did Mark lip sync Jerry's lyrics for Peekaboo in the music video?
Jerry
didn't.
was kind of shy.
He didn't.
Oh,
He didn't. He lip synced Time Out for Fun, which I had sung on the record. But since Mark was going to be singing it live,
It was just
we
it
needed
just
the
made-
video to match.
Yeah, we made the video to match our live show.
who asked that question?
Zach King.
Come on, Zach.
I
It
know
wasn't
her.
Peekaboo, Zach. Nicholas John Stabil III. Wow.
He asks, in Peekaboo, it is noticeable that the timing of the hits around the end sometimes looked off, or the green screen effect lacked aliasing. What challenges were faced during MV production of this era? Not too many. Sometimes we get stuff off, or the aliasing would be a little wonky, but well, you can talk about the
Yeah, the
challenges.
technology then was really crude, and no matter how much time or money we spent in post, it was very difficult to get rid of all that mess in the compositing, because we had shot the original material, the foreground material, on 16 millimeter film. Had we been able to afford 35 millimeter film against green screen, we might have got very clean edges, but we
Yeah.
didn't.
And you know what? That pirate, he didn't kick the exact same moment every time. He was off sometimes. We'd run that footage and he'd be a
Well,
little ahead of the
yeah.
beat or a little behind it.
you know, pirates are notorious drinkers.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Hey, he had a peg leg, so
yeah, we did. That's true.
heck of a fun time.
Yes, you know, what was great about the Ono Devo tour is that all this planning and all these ideas paid off, and the fans went nuts. It's like they had come and seen a combination of a rock show and a video game that they were part of. And they couldn't, you know, they couldn't believe this first 20 minutes with the sync screen. They'd never seen anything like it, and they were losing it. And
Yeah.
they would stand up and never sit down for the rest of the concert. Now, what happened critically? Name the big music critics of the day, and to the man, they all attacked us for what we were doing, combining live music with the video. And in fact, the big critic in LA at the Times, I remember he was like revered and everybody
Right.
listened to this guy. And he said, Devo, if I wanted a video game, I'd go to an arcade. Rock and roll or stay home.
Yeah.
That was the conclusion.
Yeah, but it was from the very beginning. People always were freaked out like we weren't rock and roll, or we were something else that was scaring them. And rock and roll was safe, you know, but whatever we were doing wasn't. You know what I thought the best part of that show was, and the most effective part of that backing plate that we're talking about? I don't think it's on. I don't think we have copies of it anywhere, but we flew out at the beginning, you know, like as it was hoovering potatoes, and we do that intro, but then we come on stage, and you know, then the lights come in and we're on stage and we perform, but then we go off stage, and then we come back one last time and we're waving to the crowd while they're cheering, but
It's not
the
us.
crowd doesn't know it's not us. That it was shot so well, and we lined it up. We were really careful to make sure that that when the film was shown on the screen, that it was the exact same height as we were when we were out, and we
Yeah.
had the same outfits on.
Yeah.
So we started levitating. So they watched us levitate halfway up the stage, and then morph back into potatoes and fly away.
Yeah, it was
It
great.
the ending was like maybe.
It's great because the
best
scale
part
was
of the
1 to
show.
1,
It's like really
and it
good.
starts by looking real. Like, oh, they walked off stage, and now they came back behind the screen, and there they are waving to us as silhouettes. They really thought that was
Yeah,
us.
It was
But
really.
then we levitate, and then we morph.
Yeah, it was really came off perfect.
Well, the shows went really well. I mean, it was really exciting. But of course, what happened was, once again, Devo was getting very little radio play. And Peekaboo never scaled to the top of any MTV playlist because
There were
they,
so many other.
well, they tied it to the top 40 radio. So if you weren't in the top 10 radio, they weren't going to rotate your video more than once a day at 5 in the morning. You know, that's what was happening to Devo, is you didn't have a presence in the marketplace. What do we need? We need a break. We need a break. Come back for episode 7, folks.